G'day, I'm Glen Morris from the Smart Energy Lab, and today I've got Matt Gye from Jeri. G'day, Matt.
G'day, Glen. How's things, mate?
Yeah, good. Hey, a bit of adventure coming here. You turned up in something special.
Yeah, I turned up in a Campify van. So Campify is almost like your Airbnb of the van life.
Wow.
Yeah. So I decided, being the BDM for Jeri, that there's only one way to truly be a BDM for a portable power station division of Clenergy, and it's essentially to use Campify to get myself around not only Victoria on Jeri's first journey, but the journey to all energy, but to also stick by that rule of thumb as we progress through different states.
Now, look, for the audience who don't know who Jeri is, this is not Jeri, this is Matt. Jeri is something special.
Yeah, well, Clenergy, the technology company, they decided to come out with the Jeri range, and like the Jeri can, but energy in a box and essentially portable power. So it's a really exciting step for the Clenergy brand, and particularly for myself as well, and the team that's in around the product and where we're taking the vision.
Right, so the connection with Clenergy is that, you know, a lot of my audience will know Clenergy really well because they're solar installers, and Clenergy are like the leading manufacturer of mounting systems in Australia and globally. They're really reaching out there.
It's huge.
But now they're reaching into a new area, so this is where you come in.
Yeah, well, I guess I was working with Clenergy as a contractor for multiple years through Samir Jacob, thanks Samir, and then Sean Guzzi, and I ended up knowing the whole company, so to speak, through a deeper engagement. And then it just happened to come to fruition that Sean and I had dinner, and he mentioned that there was a couple of JDs that he thought, job descriptions, that might suit me as a person. I unpacked that to my wife, and months went past and I didn't even know what they were. And Sean and I got on a call and shared some dialogue about what I was up to and what they were doing, and the timing just was meant to be a moment. And he said, look, I think this is the right role for you if you're interested. And I love the whole vision of where it's at.
So the motto says it all.
Yeah, well, power your freedom.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, when I think about the people, the planet, and also the purpose of Jeri, you know, the freedom purpose, it just made me go, wow, this is the beginning of something really special. We've all come out of this like super strange environment of lockdowns, and I mean, how good's the great outdoors?
You're allowed 1 hour a day.
Yeah, well, you know what they say, it's like when you get back into being yourself, and you should always be authentic, you can't beat your inner feeling. And I think that's what, when I sat down with the boys and started thinking, and the girls, and started thinking about where we want to take Jeri, especially powering your freedom. Like, we live in this electrified technological world. Who says you got to work from an office? Because we all work from home in that lockdown stage, so your office can be outdoors.
It can be in a van.
Well, mine is at the moment, and I'm enjoying it. You know, it's, I don't know, you know, if you've ever done the travel. You've travelled a lot, right? Being from New Zealand and now in Australia.
Yeah, but I've done the van thing rather crudely with my old troop carrier with just a mattress in the back, travelled around Australia. Yeah, so I know what it's like, but not with all the mod cons that your Campify has.
Yeah, I'm blown away. I mean, there's so many options on Campify. If you ever want to like travel, I advise you to jump on Campify and check it out, because those guys, like, the company, the good thing about it, it's an Australian company. They're the biggest company and the best at it. They've got so many options there, and I was sitting online talking to Sean, actually, saying, he's going, what do you want to get? And it was so exciting. I was like a kid in a candy store, and I don't own one myself, and that was a great thing as well, being the BDM for Jeri and having the great products, but going, why get like a hire car from a big brand company when you can buy a little share for a moment in someone else's adventure and let them continue paying it forward.
Yeah.
And this is a great whip that I'm in at the moment, the Mercedes. I can't wait to get into the next one, you know, and take these toys behind us with me.
So I should point out, we're not sponsored by Campify, but boy, Campify, if you want to give me a free drive of one, I wouldn't mind. It looks like a pretty cool setup. But let's get back to Jeri. So behind us, and we're going to bring these out and actually put them on the table and, do the unboxing thing. But Jeri's all about, the freedom, the power of your freedom, because it's portable. That's the key thing.
Yeah, exactly, Glenn. I think we've all used little batteries to charge our phones and top up things, but the Jeris offer so much and so many outputs, and being a range of products as well, not just a standalone single unit that comes in, let's say, a variety of shades or options. I think we've almost got like an In-N-Out burger operation where, it's a simple choice. There's 1, 2 or 3 and panels that suit. It's a really basic operation as far as what you want to purchase, but depending what your output is or what you need it for, the Jeri Power Your Freedom products range essentially suits whether you're a professional in the market, whether you're a family or an everyday person alike. We've got a product to suit your needs.
Let me take you back in a little time machine to when you first started trying to power your cameras.
God.
And I've got something here to remind you of that experience.
Oh my God. 1995, circa Australian Junior Series surfing days.
So imagine a lead acid battery with a socket outlet. It was you?
That was me. So back in 1995, that's when I first started getting into filmmaking. That was my occupation for a couple of decades, and branding. And then I was limited I used to have a Canon EX1, and the battery performance was ideal if you were shooting something small, but like a wedding or whatever. But I shouldn't say weddings are long events, but I was shooting like sunrise to sunset, the ocean, trying to document waves. I ended up becoming a surf filmmaker, and I was really, really grateful that it occurred. It taught me everything, within reason about filmmaking, but you couldn't get enough power. So I was like, how do I work this out? I knew you could buy a DC charger.
Yep.
That you could throw into your car or whatever, or out into your camera, or charge your batteries. So I thought I'd work through the basic modulation. I got myself a motorcycle battery that was lead acid.
So about half the size of this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And maybe even a little bit bigger. Like I would try everything that I could, and I'd position them around the country where I was flying, because you couldn't fly with them, and they were super affordable once you bought the Canon DC connector. And then I just rigged it up similar to this. I remember being once in Western Australia, and I had corduroy jeans on at the time, would you believe? And the lead acid got out of the battery and onto the jeans and disintegrated them. I think, Rottnest Island or something. But this is just such a time machine moment.
Yeah. So let's take people forward to now. Why don't we grab one of the little Jeris and have a bit of a gander?
Shall we start with the V4? Shall I grab it, or do you want to grab it?
Do you want to grab it?
Yeah, well, this is our 403 watt hour.
Yep.
Mimicked is the name, the V4. This is the first series of packaging that's coming with these. So you can see it. We've got our essentially a Jeri brand on it. Flexible charging, so it gives you enough information directly on the box to give you options to charge the unit. And then obviously all the basic necessities of powering the unit.
I like the applications on the back here. Fishing, drone video taking, camping, long trips, working at heights. Take it up on the roof with you.
I think if you're doing an installation, a solar installation, and you got somewhere to put it, and let's say you're up there and you've got your power tools of choice, whether they're Milwaukee or DeWalt or Makita or whatever it is, and you want to be able to charge those batteries, like this thing's super handy. Even if you want to be up there to get back to the office and your mobile phone device you're monitoring something that you need power for, I think these are definitely, you can use them anywhere.
I can see, certainly on a commercial job where you might be spending the whole day on the roof and you've got your 3 or 4 batteries and you've used them all up. But you could have been charging without having to keep coming down.
Well, imagine, you're right. Let's say you got 7 guys up there, because those commercial jobs, you're talking gigawatts, right?
Yeah, well, megawatts. Hopefully.
Megawatts, sorry. But you're there for, a week installing. So you got this, and then you put that in your lockup area with your on-site tools if you're not taking them home, and you've got your ability to just charge this thing every day.
But more importantly than your power tools, you're charging your USB speaker.
Yeah.
Gotta have the tunes.
Well, without a doubt, because of the amount of ports, depending on which Jeri you go for, you've got the ability then to even have, a panel connected to it. So it's recharging while you're on the roof if you got, sunlight.
So there's a solar panel up here. We'll get to that in a bit. But let's just take it out of the box.
All right.
The box is nice, but let's have the real deal.
So essentially, Glenn, I'll just take out the accessory pack and the instruction manual.
Okay.
Which is there for you there. And then this is the unit.
It's so cute. It's just like a lunchbox.
It is. I mean, the good thing about the lunchbox is or the Esky, you've got the handle.
Oh my gosh, it's so light.
That unit's just over 4 kilos, so you can see Glen, he was almost using like a kettlebell there to do his weight training, but 2 fingers,
Let's go for one. Yep, one finger.
One finger.
A little bit harder. But yeah, it's very, very light. It's a very solid handle too. I kind of like the construction. And 2 AC outputs, a cigarette socket, 4 USBs, one of them being USB-C.
Yeah, exactly.
And
PD100, so, an optimal USB-C.
And we've got some 12-volt DC outputs, your 585s, are they?
Yep, they are.
Yep. And we've got a 585 DC input.
Yeah, it's a 525.
Sorry, 525.
My fault, 525. It is the 525. But yeah, you've got the ability to charge many different ways.
And so this is a way of charging?
Yeah, that's a 525.
So you've got basically a little power brick, and you can just plug this power brick into the wall.
Straight in, yeah.
And then we can plug that into this unit to charge it up. So if you're charging this up, how long would it take to charge, say, from empty?
It depends. I think it's around 8 hours.
Okay, so
just having a look. We'll pull out the spec sheet in a bit, but we can.
I should point out that slow charging is not a bad thing. It's actually really good for batteries. If you have the time, slow charging.
Well, the other thing is too. Sorry to cut you off there, but the good thing about the charging option is that you do have your USB-C, so you can do a double charge going straight in.
Look, I've got one here. Hang on.
Okay. Well, if you put that in, it will charge straight away. So it's USB-C is always on. People don't realise, like USB-C, there we go. We're away. It's lit up. So it's actually going to bring in around 85 watts.
So this is just my Apple power brick for my laptop.
Yeah.
So any USB power brick.
Well, I think the good thing about the powering options that we've decided with this is, remember I was saying about the duration of charge, because you've got 2 ways to charge. So if we now plug in that DC, you'll see the input. That should be running about 85 now. When you run that now,
can I undo this?
Mate, be my guest, unless you want me to do it. I can certainly do that.
I've been trained. I can undo these twistly things.
Well, why don't you do that? Do you want me to bring up the spec sheet?
Why don't we get the spec sheet up? You do that.
Okay, excellent.
I'll cut this a little bit.
Yeah, so I think wait
a minute. I'm just going to plug it in on the screen.
All right. So we have our spec sheet up.
So if I plug this in, it's got AC power through a power brick that comes with the unit.
Exactly.
And it's also got USB-C power in from a laptop. So it's double charging.
So it's double charging. And that should reach now around 170 watts total. So if we look at...
Can I just suggest there's one more way of charging? I notice you've got another cable there.
Yeah, well, that's obviously for your 12-volt adapter. So if you are in the car and you want to charge it directly in...
Well, that's where a lot of people will be keeping this. So we could choose not to use the AC.
Yeah,
and
totally.
We could plug in the cigarette lighter.
100%.
And charge it as we're driving along.
Yeah, well, these days I'd suggest, stay low on the cigarettes, but keep high on the charge,
We need a new name for those sockets. Just call them CIG sockets.
Let's call it I like it. That could be the acronym, but, looking at the actual charge in, have a look at this. We're talking 4.5 hours here.
So that's off USB-C.
That's off the AC. 4 hours on the USB-C.
Yep.
The carport, 3.5 hours. Solar panel, 4 to 8 hours.
So this is the carport.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, it's quite fast. Right, 3.5 hours.
It's pretty. Oh no, sorry, it's my fault. Is that right? Yeah, it is. No, it's 3.5 hours. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So it's really quick. Now the good thing too, I think. Now you'll see that we've got a double charge in there.
Yes.
That should cut that charge time in half.
Right.
Because we just went from 85 watts to around 170. If we get a read on that, I mean, it's probably 170 at the moment.
Right. Okay.
So if you, what are we running at?
Well, I've only got...
the cable.
Let me plug in.
Let's plug in. Let's see it. So we're running at 77. Look at that. Just jump up.
Right. It's a ramp up. So it's going up and up and up. We're up to 120, still climbing. Right, so it's
this little cable out of the way.
So it's actually more or less doubling the speed that we can charge if we've got another source.
Exactly. Which at the end of the day, when you think about what we've all collected over time, is an inventory of cables and I think components, computers. So the likelihood of someone having a USB-C charging cable around is quite high, if not they're very affordable.
Well, the change of rules in the EU is that all phones must use USB-C.
Amazing.
It's annoyed Apple somewhat, which means that basically there'll be just USB-C ubiquitously everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, the good thing is too, as we are all in a renewable space too, you want to make sure, I think, I'm married. My wife will say to me sometimes, do we really need to keep 3 of them? I'm like, yeah, sure you do. Because otherwise it's going to be a landfill. But the other thing is too, you can utilise what you have and the Jeri gives you that freedom, I think, to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure many of us will have an older phone or laptop charger that is no longer being used and that actually can use with the Jeri. So let's just run through the overall specs. So we know that we can charge it from a plug pack or from USB-C at up to about 180 watts with the two of them.
Yep.
What about in terms of output power? So we've got 4 USB ports.
Well, we're looking at, with the USB outputs, you're going to get around 136 watts out of it, 133 watts, because USB's got its limitation to it.
Yep.
But overall, this thing will put out 400 watts.
So I notice I'm looking at the spec sheet now.
Yep.
So for USB-A, 2.4 amps, which is the larger USB.
And there's 3 of them.
Yeah, and then 3 of those.
PD100 is the USB-C.
And that does 100 watts.
That does 100 watts.
So that's fast charging. That's like if you got a modern phone with fast charging from USB-C, you could fast charge it with this.
That is the purpose of USB-C.
Oh, that's fast. 100 watts, wow.
Well, I think the good thing about the overall, I mean, it actually equates to 136 if you do the USB math, but it works out that you lose around 3 watts all up. Now, similar to your hybrid car or your EV, it's all within the science of what the technology decides to do, not what you can do.
Now, the AC output ports, you've got 2 of them. What can we power off that? How many watts?
Well, you're going to get your 400 watts out.
400. Wow.
You'll get a max startup load of 800. Let's say if you've got something that needs a little bit more.
Wow, that's a huge surge.
Yeah, and then it will drop back to 400.
Right, 400 watts. Now, just imagine that I plug in a heater or something silly. What will happen?
Well, it depends. I mean, if you're over 400, it's just going to reset.
Right. So it's self-protecting. It's
100% self-protecting. The reason that we want to make sure those mechanisms are internally based in there is that so the customers aren't coming back to us with a unit that's burnt out.
Yeah. Oh, I'm loving it. It's such a wonderful form factor.
I mean, you think about what, kids...
It's got a light?
Yeah,
you didn't tell me about that.
So I was going to get into that.
Oh my God. Sorry, I just busted your moment there, but I just love pushing buttons. Now
hit it again. And it gets brighter.
Oh my gosh.
Let's go one more time.
All right, we're going to just completely...
Now imagine you and I are travelling together.
Yep.
Now hit the 4th time. Watch this. We'll go like this. We'll go 1, 2, 3. And I'll give it a double tap now. Now what happens is you and I are travelling and we run out of fuel at the side of the road.
Oh, it's an emergency warning thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So you've got a indicative light there of an SOS or a help function. For me, I think this at just over 4 kilos if you're into outdoor living, and as we're saying, that the power of your freedom.
Yeah.
You know, let's say if there is an incident or accident that happens where you do require some sort of emergency services, you're in nightfall, or on dusk, and or daybreak, and you got search parties looking for you. That position well will give you some sort of indicated light where you don't need ignition, you don't need a combustible flame.
Yeah, it's kind of a ground flare. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at the light discharge, it's like literally, actually it's not on, it's like, I think it's something like 3 watts.
Yeah,
it's
I imagine
tiny.
it could run that for hours.
You could run this for days.
So, look, I've done a lot of camping with my kids, car camping, and the first thing you do is trying to put a light up in the tent. And then, what do you know, the kids have brought some devices with them, they want to charge them.
Yeah.
Basically, this is your little kind of home away from home with a few comfort features like a light, charging capability.
Definitely.
And then because you're out doing exciting daytime things, not at the tent, you could plug in a solar panel.
Well, that's the key of it. I mean, I think once you know lithium inside out, right? So the good thing that, you know, I've been learning and unpacking, you know, I remember with my first MacBook Pro, someone said to me, don't put it on charge the whole time because the battery will swell, you'll end up having to replace the battery. But if you charge your lithium battery down to less than 10%, you can damage your battery. So the secret to these products, whether it's a Jeri or a MacBook Pro, whatever that's, you know, your power tools, is not to drop it down to lower than 10% and to always have it on charge. Always have a trickle going into it. So that's where the panel actually protects the longevity of the battery cycle, and also too essentially gives you that freedom.
But I imagine it also self-protects from over-discharge.
Yeah, 100%.
Like it won't just gonna die because you forget to turn it off.
Yeah, you know it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's where having this thing completely topped up in your man cave or your house or in your linen closet, you know that if it's sitting at 100%, you may as well every fortnight just put it on for 10 minutes, see where it's sitting at.
I'm actually loving this USB-C charging. It's so simple. I mean, this is great to have, but sometimes you just happen to have your laptop handy and
I think it's clean too.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this too as well, because that USB-C option gives you in and out.
Yep.
Essentially, once you're using your lappy here, you got that clean, and you might have something else, you know, on charge that you need. Let's say you and I are away and we're both remotely working.
Yep.
You're using the AC out. I've got, because you're using the Lenovo and I'm using the MacBook. And then essentially I go, hey, Glen, I'm going to come back in and use the laptop power.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? So that one cable is doing everything, and it's fast charging and it's clean.
There was a time when everyone had the well-known brand Dolphin torch as their emergency torch sitting on the...
Didn't we all?
Yep. With the enormous 6-volt battery that would eventually go to fall apart because you hadn't used it for so long.
Exactly.
This is your
Corrosion.
Dolphin torch.
Well, without a doubt.
It's your Dolphin torch with bells and whistles.
Yeah, well, I like it. It's your poolside party thing too as well, coming into summer.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the colour arrangement that we've gone with, I mean, if I was a painter, this kind of me is a lexicon, which has got a little bit of that grey tone in the white. So it's not going to be, your poolside, it's not going to be white bouncing in your face. You know what I mean? But you're not going to lose it because of the green in there. And then also, too, you're not going to lose it because you're going to have all your fun toys plugged into it.
Yeah, you don't lose your phone and it's plugged into this. And the fact that I imagine I can just stick my phone on top of here.
It doesn't have the fast charge at the
moment. I wasn't
moment.
expecting to.
No, okay. But you can have it sitting on top of there and play with
just
it.
plug it in.
Yeah, totally. So it doesn't have a fast phone charging system in this.
You mean
Series 1?
Wireless?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. But the wireless function isn't there at the moment. The best thing about not having it there is we're in our design stage at the moment. We'll get in that later for Jeri 2.0s, and they are going to be exciting. More, I mean, this is, I'm literally every day and every moment. Now I'm sleeping with these things. They feel that good to me. So I'm married, but I'm sleeping with these things.
A couple of extra requests then. So that would be fantastic. A wireless charging, a module which is add your speaker to.
Our stakeholder group at the moment has it's an international stakeholder group too.
Yep.
Because Jeri isn't just in Australia.
So you're not just a reseller of some random thing that you found on eBay. You're actually a developer of a product.
Yeah, definitely. And the good thing about our team is that it's different genders and it's different nationalities and different age groups.
Yep.
So we are completely deep diving into this and thinking about everything from the ground up. And the second thing is that I love about it, and you know it, really well after being in the game as long as most. But Clenergy's been around 15 years, so it's warranted by them. The tenure of employment is really large. Like I think on average it's 7 years. So they're not just hiring and firing to get in their company. It took a while for Jeri to get in there. Do you know what I mean? But now it's in there. It's in the system. It's in the mainframe.
So this is covered by Clenergy's warranty.
Exactly.
And Clenergy's an Australian company, 15 years old, not disappearing anytime soon. They've got a huge international business now.
Well, Daniel Hong, the CEO, has been in Australia overseeing the launch of Jeri.
Yeah.
And he'll be at All Energy. So to give you an idea, like he's the major shareholder for the company and one of the original founders. And he's so passionate about the exciting journey that Clenergy's taking in the battery world. So it's exciting.
Let's step it up a game. Let's try the next one. So this is the V4.
V4.
What comes next?
Well, I think it's the V6. Now, that isn't a Holden V6. It's not a combustion engine. But I'll go grab it. 622, Glen. Remember that number, 622, brings you a V6. Thank you so much. So again, it's got the same flexibility to it as far as your outputs, your inputs. Nothing really changes on the AC, DC scenario as far as your AC outs. But what does is it increases in capacity.
Now let's see if I can lift this one with one hand. Okay. This is the V6.
Around 6.5 kilos.
Nice. Okay, that's pretty easy.
Yeah, well, we want to keep it easy because at the end of the day, anything that's too hard is overcomplicated.
Let's just compare the two actually. So side by side, V6, V4, V6.
You got it.
Yep. Very similar looking on the front panel, but effectively this is the V6 has got more of.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you want to have those. It's got the extra. It's got more than. I think it's. If you do the math on it, it's around 219 watt hours of different power output.
I just love plugging it in. Yeah.
I mean, how good is that? An extra.
So say it again. What's
622 versus 403.
So this is 403 watt hours. Yep. This is 622 watt hours.
Exactly.
And to help people understand what that is, if you've got say a 100 watt appliance, which is quite a moderate.
Well, let's say if we've got two laptops in there.
Yep.
And let's say I'm a content creator, which I was, and I still do, only for Clenergy. But let's think about this. If I'm a content creator, I've got a switcher out there, and I've got two laptops plugged in, plus two cameras. It's going to draw around 100 watt hours. Now, exactly. It's going to 100 watts. Sorry.
For every hour,
this is going to give me
100 watt hours.
6.5 hours.
6.5 hours of runtime.
Thereabouts, yeah.
With your little podcast setup.
But remember, going back to protecting the lithium battery.
Yep.
Let's say we only run it for 4.5.
Yep.
But you and I doing a 4.5 hour podcast.
Sheesh.
What could we talk about?
I know. We'd have to talk about more than just carrying Jeri. We'll have to move on from that.
We might have to bring Jeri in here himself.
Jeri will just run it. But yeah.
Same AC/DC converter.
Yep.
There, your little brick that you plug into your AC wall socket. It's going to give you a DC out that's going to run this, or not run it because you're going to run it through your PD100, or you're going to have your car adapter as well.
Right.
Now these obviously car adapters, they run warm.
Yep.
You know, because they're putting, you know, your DC directly into your unit from your car, 12 volt going directly in. They do get a little warm,
Yep.
but that's standard with everything that's to do with.
I mean, it's carrying 10 amps, so...
What you call it, CIG, right?
Yeah, the CIG outlet.
The CIG outlet.
So, and this one was 400 watts AC output power. What's this one?
This is 600. So
600.
We'll duck across the spec sheet here, but there we go, 600 with a maximum of 1,000. So It's got a surge at 1,000.
Right. Okay, so that's pretty impressive. Once again, a really big surge rating. Yeah.
Well, I think the reason why we've included that surge rating in is that we want to make sure that A, we protect, but B, some products might start up and then cut back to the 6. You're running it.
Your little coffee pod things, they draw probably about 700-800 watts, maybe less, but they'll surge when you first turn them on.
They will, but then also too, if you're struggling with that, you just get yourself a V10 to start with.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. We should get the V10 out.
Well, you know, when I was a kid, which is not yesteryear, you know, it's around 49 years ago, I remember a friend of mine's father had a V10 and it was a Jaguar.
What?
So Jag came up with a V10.
V10?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Mad.
It was an interesting configuration. It was like our V8s in Australia, you know, that are yesteryear as well, thankfully. Who wants to run a combustion engine unless you're driving a Campify van? A Campify, I should say. But the V10 over there, I'll grab it.
All right, okay.
Just going to move the panel. So again, this is a portable solar panel that I'll break down a little bit later, but you want to be super careful with, you know,
You're just off voice now, so don't worry about talking.
Yep.
Let's just take it straight out of the box. Just pop it on the table because I think the unboxing experience is pretty similar for all of these.
Damn straight. I'll just put this, so that's part of the difference.
It's a bigger brick.
It's a bigger brick that gives you a bigger input. So it doesn't have that 90 watts of input. It's literally... That thing's a beast. That thing's 180 straight off, I believe. I'll go like this to start with if you want.
Yep. Wow.
V10.
V10.
Yeah.
The big lunchbox.
Yeah. Look, this thing is, whilst it looks big, it's comfortable. It's a single hand carry. You could do a couple of fingers if you're trained for it, or if you're a Bruce Lee or something like that. But I want to take care of the people.
How many kilos did you say it was?
This is around 10.5 kilos. I can pull it up in the spec sheet, but as far as...
Sort of follows the numbering. So we've got like 4, 6, 10 kilos, V4, V6, V10.
You got it. When I think about the way that these will go, you go.
Oh, I'm just guessing here. 400 watts, 600 watts, 1,000 watts?
1,036.
1,036. All right. That's
so
great.
Imagine if we had a V20 here. We're going to be 20 kilos.
Yeah.
And that's, I think the algorithm for lithium battery virtually works that in that sort of figurative thing. So if we had a 4,000 watt hour, it'd be around 40 kilos.
Yeah.
And it depends what you want to put in there, what circuitry around it, that and the chassis.
So hang on, let's run that through in terms of power, AC power, 400 watts, 600 watts, 1,036.
Yep.
In terms of energy storage, how many watt hours were these again?
So that's your 403.
403 watt hours.
That's your 622.
622 watt hours.
1,036.
1,036 watt hours. But also it's 1,000 watts of power.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But then you've also got a surge at 2,000.
2,000 out of this.
Yeah.
Right.
So again, we know that the consumers' products out there, a lot of products are around that 2,000. So we want to be sure that when we're releasing a product to market, not only in Australia but globally, that we're protecting both the consumer's product. It will become to consumers once they buy it, you know what I mean? But the warranted Jeri units.
Yep. Wow, that's a lot of energy storage. Now you've got a bigger charging brick here. This one here.
Look, the reason we've got a bigger charging brick is obviously we're charging a bigger internal lithium battery, but this will charge really fast as well.
Yeah.
It jumps up in it's you call it power to weight ratio, so to speak, but why don't we put it in just from an AC-DC converter and see how fast it charges.
Okay. Well, I've got AC power here.
I'll connect the cables and we'll be able to visually see what we're drawing, but like all experiences, there we go, Glen's got the AC. I'm going to male to female it, and then we'll be able to connect the DC in. It's a nice feeling I always feel when I'm undoing these bits of wire. It's a moment of excitement and joy because you got something new in your hand, right? So we're going to leave this one, actually, that quick way where you just pull it out and then you do it later. I think that's a lot of men in the world. I remember doing a V8 supercar driving course, and I was with a friend, and the guy said, do you flush the toilet before you finish? And essentially a lot of blokes do that, you know what I mean? It's advisable. You can see this, we're going to hit over 100 watts going straight in pretty soon. What are we up to? 80, 90.
Wow.
It's flying. 100, it's going to hit around, I think, 117 and cap out that. 180. It's going to hit about 177 and cap out.
Can we do that as well?
We are going to do it. Let's see this max out. I mean, it's good when it maxes out. So what are we at? We're 180 and climbing.
I think you got there. 182.
182. Let's top it up.
All right, let's
see
give
what
it the USB-C advantage.
And I reckon it drops back at 177, but 182 is a lot of watts going in, isn't it? There we go. And climbing. There we go.
Off we go.
Here we
so
go.
That's a really interesting feature that you can charge from multiple ports at the same time.
Yeah.
From both direct DC and using USB-C.
It's brilliant. And I think the purpose of that is efficiency in charge. And also too, because the good thing with the USB-C is it's power always on, in or out. And the greatest aspect to it is then when you decide you want to now get the MacBook Pro out or whatever you need to power through that USB-C, you don't need to flick a button, take it out, protect your lithium battery, keep your DC charger going in there, and it's a win.
Yep.
So you got draw and maintenance. Draw and maintenance, draw and maintenance. Maintenance as in energy going in, because you got to always, I think, take care of your equipment you purchase, right?
Yep. I'm just having ideas here about add-ons for these wonderful things. I've got a little 12-volt cooker, basically for heating up a pie warmer, basically.
Awesome.
And it's got a 12-volt CIG socket on it.
Yeah.
I could actually, it only draws about, I think, 150 watts. So I could actually use any of these.
100%.
And heat up my pie on the job site.
Imagine how many pies we could actually heat up if we're, having a pie party.
Yeah.
The interesting thing, again, for this is, imagine this, right? Because professional, child, or in-laws, or whatever it is. Now, we're all camping together and you're like, you know what, I'm running low on battery. You can top this through the PD100.
Oh, so this one can be a source to this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So imagine I've got the panel all day topping up the family guy over here, but the kids have gone, PlayStations or whatever they're worked out they can utilise with that.
Yep.
And they're like, Dad, I need some power. I can just go, can you just put the USB-C connector in?
Hey Matt, I think you just did a segue to the panel. We've got to get that out. So let's make some room for the panel. So we'll take our little joys, bundles of joy.
So we'll leave the V10 up here.
Yeah, let's leave
V4,
the V10.
V6 is off. There goes the V6.
Yep.
The panel. So a couple of clips on the back, Glen. I'll
hang on, let me just feel it.
You fill it up. I'll be quiet.
Now, I think I know what that is already.
Tilt support.
It's a tilt support.
Well, Clenergy, right?
And it's, what about 4 kilos, 3 kilos? I'm guessing.
We could judge it based off the V4.
Yeah, but anyway. And
I'd say it's around
It's got some little pouchy things on the front here. What's this? Oh, let me guess. This is kind of like an unzipping as opposed to an unboxing, right?
I like
Aha!
That's what we needed.
You've got all your cables.
Well, that's
and there's
what
the connection.
we sort of on our phone call leading into this. That's one thing you asked me. Does it come with? And it's like the reason we haven't included this in the Jeris itself, the actual cable connectors to a PV setup, is that we wanted to make sure that your PV setup was correct. So obviously with the Jeri PV setup here, the foldable PV, you got the connection.
Oh, I see. You don't want just a random panel without knowing what the specs are. The volts might be wrong.
Or imagine inadvertently, you get your Jeri, you've got this extra cable, and then you're going, what can this be for? Oh no, I need panels. Like, we don't want to confuse the market.
Right.
We want to let you start enjoying the range and then doing what you're doing now. Was that hard?
No, I could do that blindfolded. So I've just plugged
I think
in.
you've done more than one.
And it's also idiot proof.
Well, let's take the AC out. Yeah. DC out. There we go.
So instead of using the plug pack, we now could use solar. In fact, if it was sunny in here, which obviously it's not, we're in a studio, we could power it up. Some people ask me, by the way, can you power solar panels from lights? Yes, but it's not worth it. There's so little power.
What's the
point,
it's right?
1% efficient.
Now, I'm just going to unclasp it here. And I'm going to go wide. Whoa.
You might have to lie it down, actually.
We're going off screen here. 1 second. What I'll do is I'll take the V10 off your hand.
Everyone.
Well,
it's got a whole bunch of little...
You want to give it its little support there.
I'm going to put the V10 on the ground.
Okay. One-handed, of course.
Yep. Right.
Ta-da!
Okay, so it's got built-in little supports, and I guess
one for each panel.
You could even tether it if you wanted to with a bit of string, just so it doesn't blow away.
Look, I think with these string options you have here, you can certainly tether it. You're a very creative guy. You could actually get some timber.
Let's fold it down.
You could get some timber. Like, imagine just running a tape on this maximum width. Let's say it's 1.7 meters. My BDM error is I haven't actually run a tape over it, but let's say its centimeters is like 1.5 meters.
I have a tape.
Social distancing. Here we go. It's the social distance. Yeah, it's an indicator for being SD adequate or correct. So here we go.
What do you know? It's 1.47 meters, or 1,470 millimeters. And if you're in the imperial world, it's 58 inches. So 58 inches long.
This guy knows his numbers.
And I can read a tape. And it's 490 millimeters high, and in imperial that's 19.5 inches. So there's your dimensions.
So get a couple of bits of H3 timber.
Yep.
Let's say cut them at 2 meters. So we've got a little bit hanging over.
And you've got all these holes to kind of screw or attach.
Yeah, put one on the bottom, one on the top. And I'm running 2. The reason why I'm running 2 is I want to cut like a back brace to it, like you'd have on any mounting system. So it supports these mounting. But there you go. You could be sitting there and a bit of wind comes up and this thing isn't going to float away. And those timbers are a part of your outdoor living, Yep. Or whatever you want. But H3 timber, I would suggest, because it's water resistant, weather resistant.
Right.
Work to the environment.
Yeah. Matt, just curious, do you know how many watts this is?
I think you stumped me there.
How about we put it in the description so people can read that? It's not a problem. But I'm going to have a guess. I'm going to say 50 watts. We'll see how we go.
Okay, we'll do that. My BDM rookie error. The reason I don't is I actually just got this.
You're right. It looks pretty new.
I literally was given a box and said, "See you on the other side," because the journey is to all energy. This is just part of the journey. Obviously, a big part of the journey, saying you, but. I'm just grateful to be able to present this.
How does this fold up? I didn't see you unfold.
Well, we've got a little 4-part arrangement there. This is my first time folding it up. So,
right. Yep.
Well, let's take care of that cable. So, yeah, here we go. We're going to...
Oh, yeah?
This is going to fold into the middle.
Yep. Oh, no, I think you had it right.
I had it right the first time.
Yep.
And then it's going to fold back on itself.
Gotcha. And
then these are going to come over.
Right. And
so
then we can just unplug our little cables.
Yeah, it's pretty light and easy to pack up, isn't it?
Actually, I didn't need to unplug that because we're going to keep that every time we want to use it. We're going to want to have to plug these in. So these are a little tricky to undo unless you've got strong fingers.
Yeah.
But you don't need to undo them because
so you keep it together.
You keep it together.
There you go.
And that's going to be going into.
Have you got that tape handy at all?
Yeah,
the tape measure.
There's the tape.
I just want to think about this because we know that this is just under 50 centimeters wide, but here we go. Single panel. It's around 370, so 37 centimeters.
Or 14.5 inches.
Yeah, well, it's again thinking about the car.
Yeah.
As long as you can, when you're traveling, or I should say the camper or your vehicle of choice, not only is it efficient, but also for storage back at home as well.
Yep.
Most cupboards are built at 600 mil.
Yep.
So this thing, either way in a cupboard like that, as far as home away storage, or even in your wardrobe.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So
you live in an apartment. You know where this is going, right?
This is our survival kit.
Yeah.
There's a storm. We lose power.
Yep.
Next day is a sunny day. We've got continuous power from our solar panel. We've got it backup for keeping our phones charged, which is probably the most important thing in an emergency, is keep contact with emergency services and your family and friends. And
Big time.
This is your dolphin torch.
Yeah.
And so much better than the dolphin torch because it's got a torch.
Exactly.
Did I turn that off? There we go. Yeah, I pressed too many times.
Yeah, look, the thing I like about it too, Glenn, is let's take it to beyond that point as well. Let's say if there is an energy crisis in your residential home. You know where I'm going here, right? So you've got the ability to have light. You've got the ability to if that energy crisis goes into daylight hours, to use the sun to charge your Jeri. And you can do it simply putting the backyard balcony if you're north facing, or if you've got some sort of travelling light. As long as you're not in shade, you're going to get the best productivity of solar from the PV, from the foldable PV, but also too you're going to have light at night.
Yeah.
If you're efficient with this, you could even run, let's say you've got an issue there, but you can run some sort of entertainment. We can create entertainment, right?
Hey, I just had another idea. If you've got kids, right, you might have a cubbyhouse. This is the cubbyhouse power system when you're not going camping.
Without a doubt. And, everyone's gone through the DIY thing, right? We've tried to plumb ourselves or do our own electrical stuff, get a tradesperson to do it. But most DIY stuff is fun to do, gardening, building, garden beds for food, all the rest of it. But this thing here for the cubbyhouse, excellent. Like, without a doubt, you're not sitting there being super dad going, and here's your, your USB socket, son, and there's that, and 1 second, I got to ring Tom, the electrician, to help me. It's simple.
It is simple. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, anyone who's interested in learning more about this, or maybe purchasing, what should they do?
The greatest way to learn about the Jeri Clenergy products is essentially get in touch with us through the Clenergy website. We are just about to launch our official Jeri Australia website as well, which is jerifreedom.com.au. So keep your keyboard ready for that and your eyes peeled. But essentially, that should be up, either buy all energy or post all energy. But get in contact with Clenergy. That's the basic thing to do.
And I'll put those links in the description below, so you can I'll update those as soon as they go live.
Yeah, look, I just, for me, go back to the beginning of our conversation. People, planet, freedom. We were born free. I think, in the world we live in now, which is super electrified and bloody handy. Not everyone knows now how to read a tape like you or I, your understanding and your 25.54, whatever the math is, inch to mils, like you're damn good at it. But everyone knows these days.
It's on the tape, actually.
Well, kids these days, like I've got a 3-year-old.
Yep.
he calls this his 50 mil because I'm teaching him to read it. So show me 50 mil. But a lot of kids these days are just born in tech. We've learnt tech. You've learnt it really well. And I just think that this is such an incredible, power your freedom product.
Yeah, cool. Hey, Matt, it's been great talking to you, but I think you're going to go camping now, aren't you?
I'm going into what is potentially a wet weekend as well. So I've got 8 days in the camper and I'm excited to see. I mean, again, let's just, before we wrap on the camping journey, I'm powering these things up and we're going to get bad weather. I've got light, I've got power. The van, it's got PV, but I don't need it because I've got the Jeri.
And you might not want to be in the van. It might be nice weather and you want to be down at the jetty, listening to a few tunes.
Or fishing. I need to have a fish.
Okay.
I want to also think to myself, I want to do a bit of work.
Yep.
I've got a little table in the van. So, freedom powering it. It's great.
Yeah.
Good to see you, mate.
You too.
Thanks so much.
Okay.
Appreciate it.